Hi, my name is Graham Jones, and you'll probably recognize me from the packing video that we did earlier today, along with my partner Richie Mann, who I've been packing and riding horses with for more than 30 years. We've got a lot of fun, and we've had a lot of episodes that I'm about to relate to you right now. Richie doesn't know that I'm recording this, but we've been on so many pack trips, and there's been so many episodes where we've had incidents, as some people refer to them, others refer to them as wrecks, and they are pretty normal. If you ride horses, you've had some. If you pack animals, you've had even more, and they can be far more dramatic when you've got more animals involved. You've got animals with packs on and they're upside down on the side of a mountain off a trail. It can be pretty nerve-wracking. And one incident that I can recall is Richie and I used to take possibly up to a dozen people annually up to Old Glory, which is the highest peak in the Rossland range of mountains. And we would pack in, spend the evening, take them up to the top of Old Glory, the actual peak where the old weather station was. A lot of history up there in that area. And most of these people had not been on pack trips and overnight camping with horses. So we would sort of get as much gear on the pack horses that we had available to us, and we would get everybody in there, hopefully safe and sound, make camp for the night. Next morning we would head up to Old Glory, leave the pack horses in camp, and give them a view from the top of Old Glory, it's pretty awesome. If you ever get the opportunity, take the chance and go and have a look. So this particular episode, we're on our way out, and I had one of my mules with me, all packed up with pack boxes and saddles and so forth. And there's a valley that slopes up from the lower portions of east of Mount Old Glory towards the northern end, and it tapers up to where the trail crosses that northern end of the higher part of that valley. So we're navigating across there with the dozen of us, and the pack on my mule started to loosen. So we needed to stop and fix it, which is a standard thing to do. So I called Richie, said, "Rich, hang on, stop. We have to fix the pack on Gypsy, my mule." So Richie comes back. We undo the if you saw in the video, the tarp off the top and the diamonds that we showed you earlier today to get to the cinch row, the lash cinches of the pack saddle. So whatever happened, Richie's on the downhill side of the mule, and down below him are these jagged pieces of granite that stick out of the ground. And whatever happened, to this day we do not know. We had the pack sort of half loose. The mule just blew up. We think she might have got bitten by a wasp or a bee. In that, she hit Richie with the pack on his side, the lower side, sent him cartwheeling off the trail, down amongst these granite chunks, hits the ground, bounces around, groaning of course, because it obviously hurt. He was airborne for a split second. And the mule takes off, probably runs 50, 60 feet. By now, both pack boxes are on the one side of the mule. Mules being who they are, she ran that 50 or 60 feet, decided nothing to panic about, stopped, looked back, and started grazing. So I, being concerned for my friend Richie, I run down, I said, "Richie, are you okay?" And of course he's groaning and whining and carrying on. And he said, yeah, I'm fine." He said, "Go get your mule." So I left him there laying amongst the boulders and ran off and got the mule, brought her back. She stood there, we got her all packed up, we got Richie back up and got him breathing again, and nobody had to give him mouth to mouth, thank God. And got the pack back on the mule, and everything went well, and you never even knew the incident happened 5 minutes later. So it's one of my incidents with Richie Mann. We've had a few, so I hope you enjoyed the story. Thank you.
Like I started my packing over in the East Kootenays in the early 50s, and then in around 1956 I got a real good packing job. I had 3 packing jobs that summer. One was the one I did the year before, was forestry up in the White Swan country as a patrolman with my own horses. I had 3 horses on that the year before, so I was able to get that job. And then this other job came up. I was packing for a sheep outfit up north of Kamloops. And then the other one, that this little German cook that I had met in the East Kootenays, he had been packing for this Dr. John Wheeler up in the Yukon a couple years before that, and this was 1955, and he said, you know, we should go to the Yukon next year. So I had these 3 jobs, and I had to pick which one I wanted to do. And so I had never been to the Yukon, so I said, no, that's got to be it. So what it was after Dr. John Wheeler. He's a geologist out of Ottawa, and there was 4 geology students, and so we went up to the Yukon, and they were all government horses in at the Selkirk farm up there north of Whitehorse, and they had about 30 head of horses there, and we had to pick out 18 of these horses for our pack outfit, and so we were going to be out for the whole summer. Yeah, it was a fantastic job, and so anyway, we picked out 15 horses, and of course my partner was from Atlan, BC. He was an older guy, and he had packed some of these horses a couple of years before for another outfit up there, another government outfit. We had all government pack saddles, and it was the first time I ever saw adjustable Army pack saddles. It was a fantastic outfit. So anyway, we picked out 18 of these horses, and we had to drive them. We picked out 2 saddle horses out of the bunch, and got saddled up, and we started hazing these horses. Andy was leading one, and I would haze behind with the others, and heading for Pelly Crossing, where we were going to meet the geologists and all our gear. So anyway, that was quite a day. I don't think I've ever ridden so hard before or since. Those horses, they knew every trail in the backcountry, and there was 3 groups, and there was only 2 of us. And you can imagine what was happening. There was horses going this way and horses going that way. I'm following this bunch. Andy's got some with him, and I got some with me. So we got some up there to Pelly Crossing. It's about a 20-mile hike, and upriver, up the Yukon River. No, up the Pelly River, sorry. And so anyway, we finally got the horses all up to Pelly Crossing that day, but we were so sore and raw at the end of that day. Oh my God. But anyway, one of the stories on that whole summer, we would be moving camp every day up one creek and down the next, about 15 miles a day. So we would move camp. There was 3 of us on horses, Andy Porterfield, myself, and Andy Scherf, the little German cook. He was 4'11", neat little guy. But anyway, he had trained to be a lawyer. He was actually a lawyer, but he was taking a couple of years off and just wanted to get out into the hills. And so he was our cook on that outfit. And while we would move camp, the geologists would hike the ridges, picking up rock samples. And this was all up in that Faro Yukon country. It turned out to be a mine eventually. We actually traveled, oh gosh, we would meet at the airplane at a certain lake every 2 weeks. They'd bring the groceries in for the next 2 weeks, and they'd fly out with the rock samples. So this one day, when we were crossing one of the rivers, it wasn't a big river, just a small river. We were crossing the river, and so Andy kind of led the way. We kind of found a good crossing, but we didn't want to get too low because there was a real big pool of water down there, and we had to make sure none of the horses got down in there because they're all loaded with packs, eh? So anyway, oh boy. Anyway, we get going across, and I told Norm, you know, just stay right behind me, stay right where I go, and make sure you don't get down in that pond. So anyway, we get going across, and we got all the horses across, and poor Norm, he got down and he got into that pool of water, and his horse was flashing around. He came off the saddle. I threw a rope at him. I got him out, and his horse just kind of climbed out in the south, and he got up on the shore and he puffing. Where's my pipe? we just killed ourselves laughing. That's all his camera got wet, everything else. Where's my pipe? And here the pipe comes floating in a little back eddy, so we got the pipe too. So that was kind of a neat time, yeah.
My name is Rick Fillmore. I raised horses and cattle on this ranch for 40 years, but I've been a member of the BackCountry Horseman I was the chair for like almost 8, 9, 10 years, and I believe in the BackCountry Horseman. Things have changed. There's a new culture out there where people don't think that horses should be on trails. We've always fought to have the right, the privilege to be on trails. We have a mountain bike culture out there now that want to go out there and exclude us from the trails. We have motorized vehicles that don't want us on certain places. We like to have use of the trails for all non-motorized use. An example is up on the Seven Summits trail, up in the Rosin Range. We had a ride up there, probably had 30 horses, eating lunch. Mountain biker come along and asked us what we're doing up there, was yelling and screaming at us and told us to get off. And so we said, hey, look, who do you think you are? We've been up here forever. Guys like Richie Mann and stuff actually built these trails. You guys are on the trails that we built. And I said, by the way, who are you? And he says, well, I'm from Calgary. I've been here for 5 years. And I said, well, guess what? I think at the time I was about 70 years old. We had Richie Mann, who was in his 80s, old Ken Fleming, who was in his 90s, Pete Pasqualato was in his 80s, another guy, Soupy Campbell, was 65. We grew up in this area, and you're telling us that we shouldn't be on these trails? And that's the problem is that they think they take stewardship over these trails and they want to boot us off. And they cite that, you know, we're horse manure, making dust, dislodging rocks. Anyways, wrecking the trails for them. We said, look, you guys are making more mess than us. When you go down trails, steep trails, you put the brakes on, and it gouges the trails and actually makes it dangerous for our horses to be on it. And then when it rains, it creates little gullies there, and we can't even walk on those trails after a while. We've had a number of cases where we put trails in and we steward the trails. We make sure they're open. They're welcome for anybody to use, as long as it's, you know, done in the right, proper fashion. And so that's what we're all about. We're out there to protect the right for the horse person to use those trails, which means hikers and mountain bikers, eh? But the mountain bikers want it for themselves, and we don't like that. Like I say, it's a new culture out there. I don't know what else to say. What's that? Well, Richie was an icon, and I can remember we went down to a place called Fort Shepherd one spring, and there were 65 horses. And so we had a bonfire or whatever, and it was Richie and Pete Pasqualato just turned 65 years old, and we thought, what a bunch of old bastards. Now I'm 74, Richie's in his 80s, and now I'm one of the old bastards. But we always had good rapport with all the horse people. We never had any problems. You know, there's no drama. We just went out and rode and had fun. And that's what's nice about the BackCountry Horsemen. They just want to go out there. If you want people to volunteer for trails, they're there. You know, we spend a lot of time working on trails and whatever. And we've got trails all over the place. And so we're good stewards of that. And can't think of anything else. Yeah, is that good?
You know, I think it's just a nice way to get out into the mountains, and you know, you can go for days, and the camaraderie and the fun with the people and the animals. You know, I can't think of anything that's more nicer to do. You know, it's just, and the people I have met through the horse business, just a fantastic bunch. You very seldom meet somebody that is difficult to get along with, or and it teaches you a lot of responsibility, of course, and it's been good for my kids, my family, you know, and they're all they all took up the horsemanship and stuff, and they still all want to ride when they can. They don't all have horses anymore, but you know, they're still all involved in some ways. Yeah. And and then got involved with 4-H for quite a few years, and so that was really really a nice thing to do. Really rewarding for me, you know, to see how these kids. It's amazing what they can learn and what they can do. You know, that always blew me away. Some of them were so keen, you know, and they really went on to be great riders, and 4-H, I think, is one of the best organizations going, because they learn how to public speak, they learn how to do displays, they learn certainly responsibility, because they have to look after their animals, they have to keep track of all everything they spend and all the work they do, and it's a great organization.
I've given a lot of lessons to people. I don't charge for lessons, but when I see a person that really wants to be involved with horses, I just get them to sit on the horse. And after that, they're pretty well blooded into the horse industry, because that's all it takes. So I tell everybody, let somebody ride your horse, because once they've ridden that horse, they can see what the horse is all about. The horse gives you more. What you put into the horse, you get twice as much out of it, eh? And these people, there's quite a few people around here that never sat on a horse before, but now are own horses just because you give them the opportunity to sit on it. Because it's unbelievable, you know, when you're on that horse, how you connect with that horse. So that's what I suggest to people. Let somebody ride your horse. Let them go on with you. So that's it.
If you know somebody that's got horses, yeah, get friends and just go mess around, just help them out, because you know, the horse people always like somebody that's interested. And if you're at all interested in animals, you don't have to ride. You know, you can just go and do grooming and whatever, or clean stall. You know, I know when I was young, that's what I wanted to do. I loved the smell of horses, and you know, and horse blankets and everything, and I was able to make it my life, which was really fortunate to be able to do that. And I think that's what I would tell anybody. Yeah, if you're at all interested, you know, you're going to get a lot out of it, and you're going to meet some great people, and you're going to fall in love with some horses for sure. You know, yeah.